Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Glam Bodybuilding Mountain. And today I'm going to talk about what is the best pre-workout meal, if there even is one, right? Because again, it's always going to be dependent on your situation. So what I found was that when I was on a cut, when I was eating lower amounts of carbohydrates and my body was always running at a deficit, I noticed that when I went to the gym and say I just had straight protein before I went and maybe a coffee or something like that, I noticed that I didn't have a lot of energy reserves. So what would happen is that about 30 minutes into the workout, I'd start to get starved, where I felt like I was so hungry I couldn't even concentrate on training. So what I found was when I was on a hardcore cut, having some protein and carbs before the workout was great. So sometimes I'd have some tuna and rice, and sometimes the rice, was high glycemic index, right? So it was sushi rice, or I would have, something else like, potato and chicken or whatever it might be. But I noticed that if I had something that would help sustain me, it was because I was at a deficit, I didn't notice that it would fill me up or create like some sort of lump in your stomach type effect, right? So because of this, I found that it didn't hinder my blood flow. If anything, it assisted with it. It assisted with my pump. Now, a lot of people will say only have high glycemic carbs after the workout and so forth, but I find having high glycemic carbs during the workout also seems to help with my energy as long as I don't overload it or don't have too much. Now, again, if you're not on a cut, say you're eating a lot of different foods, say you are not at a deficit at all. You're basically eating carbs, you're eating fats, you're eating proteins, you're just basically eating bodybuilder wise, but you're not necessarily trying to lose body fat. You may notice that your body is more sensitive then to certain foods, or you might have that heavy feeling because guess what? You're always saturating the body with food. So in those circumstances, I would say you would probably respond better just to a straight protein and green meal before the workout, or maybe have some protein, but just a tiny bit of carbs, or protein and some fat, right? One or the other, but don't combine the carbs and the fats together for most people. At least that's what I found for myself, because that's when your body will get bogged down trying to digest the protein and the fats and the carbs all together, right? So there are different enzymes and different processes involved in digesting different macros, right? So I find when I combine carbs and fats, that's when my digestive system has the most challenge. And if I eat that stuff before I go to the gym, I'll get that heavy feeling and that basically the constant burping or nausea if I'm training legs. If you're training legs, you feel like you're gonna puke. Usually it's because you ate foods that were too heavy, meaning a combination of carbs and fats and starches and all this. You just basically put it all into one sort of dog's breakfast, and the body takes a lot longer to digest that. So if you're gonna have a pre-workout meal, what I would suggest is having a meal that your body can digest easily, so that way it's not going to get in the way of you being able to establish some sort of pump, or basically not create nausea or a heavy bloated feeling while you're training, right? Because there's nothing worse than doing a set of leg curls and then burping stuff up and whatever, right? That said too, obviously having high glycemic carbs after your workout is going to have a better and more profound effect on your recovery, as well as being able to saturate the muscles without your body having to secrete insulin, because once you create that vacuum experience in the muscle where the glycogen's all burned up, then your body can absorb nutrients without having to secrete insulin, because there's this natural sort of effect that happens from that vacuum state. So if you're going to have a good post-workout meal, yeah, protein and carbs I would recommend for most people. Unless you're one of those people that takes in most of their energy, if not all their energy, through fats, then I guess, yeah, you'd have some fats and stuff after your workout. But even people that are on protein and fat diets, I find they seem to respond well to carbs here and there, like say starches right after their workout, a starch that agrees with them if they're going to have that. Because one thing I've noticed when I eat nothing but protein and fats is that my body does get flatter in certain ways. It doesn't necessarily fill up the same way as when I have carbs or starches. So even if I'm on primarily a protein and fat diet, I notice that I still benefit greatly from taking in a meal of starches once a day or once every 2 days. And after a workout would be a great way to ameliorate any sort of adverse effects that you have from eating starches or complex carbs. So yeah, I hope this answers your question. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalglandbodybuilding.com. And thanks to the Patreon supporters. There I'm putting up some exclusive content and some posts and stuff and videos of me training and whatever. And take care for now. Mountain.